Welcome back, everybody. Michael LaFido. Hope your day is going amazing. We have so much great information to share with you today. We're going to talk about what's working today from a lead gen, from a positioning standpoint, and we're calling it the triple threat with today's guest. We're going to be talking about both online, what you can do to position yourself online through social media, through print, as well as email marketing. Email marketing is not dead, so we're going to be talking about that. As always, if you guys have any questions, if you're watching live, you can just type the questions in the comment section, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, that sort of thing, YouTube, or if you're listening to a replay, just shoot me an email for any questions. My email is on the screen, but it's michael@marketingluxurygroup.com. Michael@marketingluxurygroup, best email for me. And we do have a special guest today. And before I bring on our special guest, I'm a student of the game. I'm always trying to learn different perspectives, what's working today. So I'm based in the Chicagoland market for those of you that don't know, or those of you that are just listening to our podcast for the first time. And Tom Ferry was in town recently, about a month ago now from the time of this filming. And any time I get a chance to see Tom Ferry speak, I try to make an effort to get over there. And so Tom delivered amazing content, and as did my guest today. I'm going to bring on Jimmy Mackin. Jimmy Mackin, who is out of the Boston market. For those of you that have been around real estate for a while, you probably recognize the face, recognize the name. Hey, Jimmy, thanks so much for joining me today.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here, and I think what you're just describing about the Tom Ferry event, what's been so fun for us as we tour the country, having been in a position to interact with so many agents, tens of thousands of agents this year, is that this market right now, Michael, and I'd love to get your reaction to this. This market right now is sort of the tale of two markets. You're seeing, regardless of what's happening with inventory or demand or what's happening with buyer sentiment, you're seeing certain agents in certain markets just thrive. And then you're seeing a lot of agents who I have empathy for really struggle to find their footing. What they were doing in the past wasn't working. They feel like they're beaten down by this market. And I think what I'm hoping we can do today as we dive into it is kind of distill down some of the learnings that we've had, and some things I know you know, and I know your audience will appreciate, some of the learnings we've had that are actually helping agents get business now. And I think that is going to be the sort of hopefully the theme for today's conversation is just like, what's working right now and how can we help everyone who's tuning in, especially as we record this in the middle of July and sort of the dog days of summer, figure out ways to be efficient with their time and efficient with their money and get some more results.
Yeah, I mean, the timing of this, I thought is perfect because we are just past the midway point, right? And so sometimes at this point, agents get discouraged, right? They have lofty goals, and not every market's the same. A lot of seasonal markets throughout the world, but many in the in the Midwest and maybe East Coast, it's seasonal around the school year. So come August, September, things slow down a little bit. And so many agents, if they're missing the mark on some of their goals, could be discouraged right now. So that's why when you and I were talking in prep for today, we talked about, hey, what's working today, right? Because we know some agents are crushing it. There's top producers in every market, cold markets, buyer markets, seller markets. But we do know that some agents are struggling out there right now. And so that's what I thought you and I could kind of talk about, hey, what's best practices, whether you're a newer agent, a seasoned veteran, whether you're crushing it right now and you're just looking for the principal of slight edge to get even better, or hey, you're a top producer, but this year you're not producing and you're discouraged a little bit. What can you do? So thanks for that insight. And you're exactly right, Jimmy. There's agents on all different parts of the spectrum right now today.
Yeah. So, well, why don't we start with before we dive into it, let me give if I could just give a sort of just a quick sense of what I'm seeing right now in the market.
Yes, please.
Because I think what's happening right now, it's worth calling out. Right now, where a lot of agents are struggling is that in the past, you would had sort of two primary ways to grow your business. And that is, and this is true today too, if you think about an individual agent, Michael, there's really only two ways you can grow your business. Number one is you optimize an existing lead pillar. that it's like, hey, if you're doing open houses, you increase the volume of open houses you do. You improve the scripts that you use at open houses, right? If you're doing expired, same thing, volume, scripts, angles. You optimize an existing lead pillar. So something's driving business for you today. You figure out ways to increase the effectiveness, increase the volume. The second way to grow your business is to add a new pillar. So you either optimize an existing one or add a new one. And what I think people are struggling with, Michael, maybe you can relate to this and maybe your audience can as well, is that the questions that you get, I'm sure, as an expert, is because there are so many choices that the average agent has, they get caught in this paralysis state. They don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. And so they just get into this really bad habit of dabbling. And they dabble a little bit here. I sent some mailers, it didn't work. Let me move on to social. Did some videos, didn't work. Move on to long form video. Oh, let me move on to door knocking. Okay, I got rejected. Let me move back to this thing. And so I heard a great quote the other day that really, really resonated with me, which is, it's like, when you don't know where you're going, distractions look like opportunities. And I think right now, so many people who are going to be watching this podcast are trying to figure out, hey, Jimmy, hey, Michael, give me like 3 things I can do right now to build some momentum so I can put my blinders on and not worry about the latest, greatest AI tool that just got released last week, as an example. So I hope that resonates with your audience, Michael. I'd love to get your take on it, because I think that's one of the things I see agents struggle with, is just this idea that they can't get their bearings, and it gets them sort of stuck in first gear for too long.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I do agree with you that some agents have shiny object syndrome, right? Squirrel, right? And as opposed to laser focus, I like to use the sports analogies, right? And so, the fundamentals, football season, your Patriots, my Bears, they're going to be reporting to camp here in a week to 2, and so blocking and tackling in the fundamentals, that might not be stuff that the O lineman, D lineman like to do, but
sure,
it's the things that have been proven to work, right? So fundamentals and real estate, being organized, having your database. I call it cold opportunities and warm opportunities. Your cold opportunities, another word from that would be lead gen, right? And then warm opportunities, these are people that know you, like you, and trust you. So your database, your sphere, and touching them, right? To use a Buffini terminology, how are you communicating with them? Call, drive-by, text, handwritten note, email, CRM. What are you doing to consistently be in front of them? These are all some basic fundamentals, and they're not per se sexy, but they're what gets the job done. And so you bring up a good point. And so although we're going to be talking about what's working today, some of this might be new for a lot of people listening or watching, but you've systematized this and you take care of some of it, whether someone wants it primarily done for them or they want to do it themselves. So thanks for kind of setting the stage for today.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a tactic that I think will be really useful, because I was thinking, I did this poll recently. And so at Listing Leads, we are the fastest growing membership site in real estate history. We got over 4,000 members of the program. We just launched a little over 12 months ago. And I asked a question. I said, hey, listen, how many referrals are you getting every week? Now, mind you, most people who subscribe to Listing Leads are either aspiring agents or agents who are aspiring top producers or top producers. And on average, these are agents who are getting between probably $20 to $30 million a year in production, but some much, much more than that. They're getting anywhere between 0 to 1 referrals per week, which is code for 0. And I actually looked at some of the producers and I clicked on their profiles. I looked up their Zillow profile. On average, they had over 50 reviews. Some of them had hundreds of reviews. Google, same thing, 50 reviews, hundreds of reviews. And so there's this challenge we have in real estate, which is we believe, Michael, if you're my client and I do an amazing job for you, I help you find the home of your dreams, you are over the moon happy, we're popping champagne at closing, high-fiving, thank you so much for making this happen, Michael, you're the best. Well, 3 months later, Michael has not introduced me to a single friend or family member. And we expect that Michael is going to become that guy who just starts referring us people. He knows people. He's going to refer us people. The reality is that Michael paid us money, right, to help him with a deal. In his mind, we're square. I have to, as an agent, I have to continue to reinvest in that relationship if I want to continue to get a return from that relationship. And this is a story we tell ourselves in real estate that gets us in a lot of trouble, Michael. Which is we believe by delivering a great experience, the customer owes us their book of business. They don't. They don't see it the same way. The more we invest in them, the more return we get. So here's what I would do if I was in your position right now, and you've got and by the way, our CRMs are much bigger than most people think. The CRM, like whoever's in your Sierra or Follow Up Boss or Brivity, those are your contacts. But then you have your social CRM, whoever people you're following on Facebook or connecting on Facebook. Then you have your phone, which has all these contacts, right? So if you kind of combine that, you know a lot of people. Here's what I would do. The first thing I would do is I would create my neglect list. This is people in my network who I know who are connected and live in the area, who maybe I've worked with in the past or a professional connection that I have not communicated with recently. Okay, so I'm making that list. I'm putting that in my CRM. I'm sorting that list by least recently contacted. Number two, I am making it my mission to become the person who finds the best deal in my area. My friend Sharon would call it the deal of the week. But what I would do, practically speaking here, Michael, is I would look at the hot homes on Redfin. I would talk to my broker or my team leader about pocket listings or off-market opportunities. I would circle dial for off-market opportunities. And then I would also look at Zillow and see which home has got the most views and saves that week in the last 7 days in my farm. But I make it my mission to kind of build up that ammunition I need to deliver value. And then finally, step three, I'm going to reach out with a script. I'm going to give everyone the exact script. Okay, this is the exact script I would use. And every word of the script is designed for a very specific purpose. So I'd say, hey, Michael, I know that you're not looking to make a move, but you're one of those people who always seems to know someone who is. I got a new listing. It's about to hit the market. It's going to move fast. Do you think that it might be worth quietly sharing this with someone in your network? And that's it. And so that process is I build my neglect list, identify 10 to 15 people I'm going to reach out to that week. I find the best deal in my area, and then I use this exact script. And all I'm trying to do is get Michael to introduce me to one or two people. Now, if he's like, hey, listen, no one comes to mind right now, Jimmy. Okay, great. Would it be okay if I check back in with you in a few weeks? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, hit him with the same script, right? And you just, hey, I want to follow up again because I know. And then now he's had some time to think about this. But if we break that script down, Michael, it opens up with this first one, which is, hey, Michael, I know that you're not looking to make a move, which immediately lowers the temperature in the room. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm telling you, hey, listen, I know you're not looking to make a move. And then I use what my friend Chris Voss would say is called labeling. Hey, Michael, you're one of those people that just seems to know everybody. And so I'm building a positive association in the mind of the consumer that, hey, yet now I start thinking about, actually, I do know a lot of people who are thinking about making a move. And then I use a technique that we like to say at Listing Leads, which I like to market like a gossip. And so I'll say like, hey, listen, do you think it might be worth, quietly sharing this with someone in your network? And when you stack those things together, you've got a script that can help you turn your SOI, your VIPs, into a steady stream of referrals. So if I'm watching this pod right now, Michael, like I'm saying to myself, like the very first thing I'm doing from a strategy perspective is I'm looking for the fastest ROI, the lowest cost, and the most predictability. Those are sort of where I'm investing my time and energy. And so I just think referrals are undeniably a category that are really under invested in. And I want to make sure everyone here has something they can use, a strategy they can use to actually put this into practice.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So the neglected list. So this could be past clients, people in your database, people that are influential people in your community, or people that you had relationships with, but you just haven't communicated with them. What kind of message are you recommending for the neglected list? Hey, just checking in. Is it an email? Is it a call? Is it a text?
This would be a text. So the script I gave you would likely be a text message versus an email,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So I'm recommending a text message for people in your
Okay.
network as opposed to an email. And I want to say, like, one of the things I like to do with my scripts, because we write hundreds of scripts at Listing Leads, is like, in my mind, I'm always trying to take a big commitment and turn it into a small commitment. Here's what I mean by that. If I send a postcard to you, Michael, I might say, like, typically, hey, thinking about selling, question mark, call me, here's my phone number. Well, that's a big ask to go from getting a postcard to contacting somebody about potentially selling. And so if I were to think about this with all my scripts, all my outreach, all my postcards, all my CTAs, all my emails, if I want to have more conversations with would-be sellers, I say, let me take my big commitments, let me turn them into small commitments. Hey, Michael, this might feel like it's coming out of the blue, but would you consider selling if a serious buyer came along? And what I'm doing there is I'm just trying to destroy the objection, because, again, it's coming out of the blue. We're just asking them straight up, like, hey, they weren't thinking about selling, and then we just asked them, hey,
Right.
would you consider it? But then what I'm doing is I'm presenting them a hypothetical. And what I'm trying to do is lower the barrier to having a conversation. If I ask you, Michael, this is what neuroscience teaches us. It's part of our brain called amygdala, which is responsible for detecting threats. And in sales, we tend to use threatening language without realizing we're using it. So if you walked into Best Buy today, and I was the teenager with a blue shirt on, and I'd say, "Hi, sir, can I help you today?" And your response would normally be what?
Yeah, I'm just looking.
I'm just looking, right? And so the "can I help you? Do you want to? Will you?" type of language, it creates this immediate reaction in our brains that this is a threat. I do not want to commit to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to bypass that is to trigger their curiosity. And the way to trigger their curiosity is to use hypotheticals. And so in sales, I wrote a book with my co-authors, Phil Jones and Chris Smith, called "Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents." We've now sold, I think, over 250,000 copies.
Wow.
We talk a lot about that in the book, which is this idea of, like, opening fact question. How can we get you in a position where we can sort of just lower the barrier to having a conversation? Now, we wrote that book for a sales perspective, but I use it every day from a marketing perspective. And so I just think right now, like, when we think about the language we use and the words we use and the phrases we use, we always want to try to go from a big commitment to a small commitment. We always want to lower the barrier to having a conversation, and then be really thoughtful about how you can get people into a state of curiosity. How can you how can you yourself be curious, and how can you get them to be curious? This is how you can kind of move them down the funnel and have really meaningful conversations, Michael.
That's awesome. Thanks for that information. So neglected list, deal of the week, and then, of course, the scripting, being comfortable with what your message is going to be. Think about it before you hit send, right?
Yeah.
Now, you also, how would you incorporate some of this into maybe social media, like deal of the week, for example? You don't want to give away too much, because then they have it, right? So how do you tease people a little bit with coming soon, or without putting all the information out there where you get some inquiries? We actually just did this yesterday. You have these different groups in your community, Boston moms, North End Boston moms, and it's a Facebook group, and they ask different questions or referrals. Well, we posted in our local one, basically a coming soon, and just listed out some details of the property, had some pictures that weren't too revealing, but let them know, kind of the style of the house, and did not list address, did not list price. And our inbox was just blowing up, right? And this is a $1.65 million property in my market. The average sale price is 500, so it's considered luxury in our market. and we're a little bit stale on some activity in our market. So to get these many inquiries, you know,
Hmm.
we were really excited. So what do you
Yeah.
recommend best practices with, maybe online, with whether it be coming soon or just posting some of these
Yeah.
types of messages?
Would you be open to me helping you with some of the language there on
Please,
coming
yes.
soon? Okay. Okay. The late great P.T. Barnum said, "Nothing draws a crowd quite like a crowd." And so when it comes to things like coming soon, I want to change the positioning of that as a marketer. Uh, I, what you want to do is increase the intensity of the offer with in a way that that tells people, hey, this thing is not going to this information is not going to be available soon. And so you've got to do if you want to do something, you got to do something now. And so instead of saying, let's say coming soon, and you did some really smart things, which is you should never give away the price and you should never give away the address. You can give a range. You can give people a sense like, hey, this property's under 1.75 million, right? Or under 2 million, right? This is the best property I've seen under 2 million is 1.6. That's fine. If you want to sort of, be a little bit more thoughtful, but you should never give away the exact price and you never should give away the address. What I would say is, like, if I were to look at coming soon, I would say something like, the subject line might say expires in 24 hours. And the reason I would use a line like that, because now in their mind, the clock is ticking. Coming soon is like, okay, great, this is coming soon. It's going to be available. I'll be able to see it. No, we got an exclusive bit of information that is going to now be publicly available in the next 24 hours. So if you want to get it, you've got 24 hours, wait 23 hours and 59 minutes and 59 seconds, 58 seconds, right, before you can do something. So first thing is I'm going to use scarcity in
Yeah.
my messaging to create some, and that's going to permeate through the language I use. Hey, this home's going to be available on Zillow, and it's going to be seen by thousands of buyers, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. But I wanted to give you a heads up before anyone else sees it. Now, what I'm doing in that is I'm triggering in their mind the law of reciprocity. This is from Robert Cialdini's book, Influence. And so I'm trying to hey, listen, hey, Michael, I wanted to give you a heads up before anyone else has a chance to see this. It's about to go live on Zillow in the next, 24 hours. I expect it to do really well. But because you're the type of person who I know likes a good deal, I want to make sure I put it on your radar first, right? So again, I'm labeling, I'm creating scarcity. I'm using psychology is this invisible force that drives our behavior. I'm using it in all the ways that I position and market. Now, here's what I would also do, building on that idea, social media. Some of my friends, like my buddy Jason Cassidy, has done a great job with this, and a few others have replicated this. I might shoot a video in the area, right? Maybe I'm having my cameraman as I'm driving down the street saying something along the lines like, listen, I can't, again, market like a gossip. Hey, I can't tell you much about this property because it's not available on the MLS yet. And I'm literally driving down the street, right? But I would say hey, I can't tell you much about this property because it's gonna be available in the MLS next 24 hours. But what I can tell you is homes like this sell very quickly, typically within 7 days or 28 days, which is 60% faster than the average home in the market. And now I'm starting to build some momentum around that. And then what I'm doing is I'm posting a video like that, and then I'm like, if you want to get the price and location, comment, and I'll use like a specific keyword below, right, this video. If I'm doing that as an Instagram story, I'm throwing up an Instagram polls, right? Hey, would it be helpful to get the price and location before it's on Zillow? Yes, absolutely. Of course. No, I need to figure out my finances before I buy. And anybody who interacts with that poll, I'm sliding into their DM and I'm having a conversation. So what you guys are doing is, and you're doing. By the way, I want to call something out that you did is really smart, and people should pick up on this. You posted it in a private Facebook group. Private Facebook groups are one of the best distribution channels you can use to build up connections and conversations. Like we used to have the BNIs, Michael. We used to have like the town squares. Well,
Right.
guess what? They're all virtual now. If you can find like the top 5, top 10 mom groups in your area, youth groups in your area, right? Whatever the most active groups are, and befriend the admins. I mean, like, these people have the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, they're
They
the
know
gatekeepers. They're the
they are
gatekeepers.
the gatekeepers. So you can say, hey, so let's say you're one of those gatekeepers. I say, hey, Michael, I know the mom groups loves getting, information for everybody else. Would it be okay if, do I have your permission to, would you have any issue with, right? I might turn that to a negative. Like, do you have any problem with me sharing about a new listing and about to hit the market? Of course, I'll give all your members early access.
Mm-hmm.
Of course not, right?
Right.
Turn a yes into a no, like our buddy Chris Voss likes to say. So just to recap. Number one, I want you to move away from this idea of coming soon. I want you to use scarcity. Hey, expires in 24 hours. I want you to think about telling a story behind, hey, this thing is going to go live on the MLS. It's going to be on Zillow. Thousands of buyers are going to see it. Build up the sort of like raise the stakes, as we say in marketing, and then make it really easy for people to take action. Comment below, respond to this poll, send me a DM, text me, here's my number. This is how you take every listing and turn it into 2 or 3 more opportunities. And if you can do that, I mean, Michael, that's a superpower to have in this market.
Yeah. Oh, great point. I'm glad that you gave some additional insight and suggestions. Appreciate that. It expires is golden. I like that. Creates some sense of urgency. So obviously your website, which I'm going to pull this up real quick, is all about text and direct mail and email and social. Let me pull this up real quick and tell me a little bit about what inspired you and a little backstory as to what's behind the website, and tell me a little bit about anything else that once I pull this up, you can share with me. As far as what's working, or hey, now that you bring this up, let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, one of the things that has
Listing
been really
leads. Okay, listingleads.com.
Yeah, listingleads.com. So what's been really interesting for us, the origin story of Listing Leads is Tom Ferry and I partnered together on a program called 100K in 100 days. And so I called Tom up. I said, Tom, like, we got to develop a program. This is the summer of 23. I said, we're coming off of the back of what was an incredible boom market. And agents are really struggling to adjust and adapt. We had, God knows, 15 different rate hikes in like 6 months. Agents were completely overwhelmed with like what to do. Inventory was starting to rise. Buyer sentiment was really negative. Sellers were confused. We had millions of homeowners locked in. So we developed this program called the 100K in 100 Day program. We said, listen, if we put together a plan with our best strategies and we organize it in a way where it's easy for everyone to understand what to do today, can we help agents get results? And I'm proud to say this is the largest listing attraction experiment in the history of real estate that we are aware of. We had a couple thousand agents participate in the program, and we generated over $20 billion in sales from the 100 days program, from only 2,000 agents. I mean, it was just incredible rush. We had one of my dear friends, Julie Woods, who she's in a town, average price point $300,000, maybe even a little less than that. I'm doing over $200,000 in GCI in 100 days. Okay. She's in a market where that's a lot of units she's moving. And she just followed the plan to the T. And so we rolled that program out. It was a massive success. The problem is that, like everyone knows, marketing is like bathing. You should do it daily. And so what happened was, we needed to come up with a process around creating new ideas and new campaigns that we could test and validate and coach people on. And then Listing Leads was born on the back of that. We said, we're going to take the success of this 100K program that has been such a commercial success, and we're going to say every day of the week, we're going to give you a text, an email, social media script, a video, or a direct mail template that you can execute to get yourself in front of more sellers, book more appointments, and get more listings. And as I said at the beginning of the program today, I'm proud to share that we've got over 4,000 paying members as part of the program. And right now, we asked our community recently if they would be, and this is a great way to sort of tell the validity of the program, like if they would be upset if Listing Leads no longer existed. And like 97% of people would be very upset, right, if the program did not exist. So the real problem that we're solving is twofold. The real problem that we're solving is this. We're solving the problem of A, what should you do today to get a customer? And B, what exactly should I write, share, post, shoot? And so we tell them what to do. Hey, today is going to be an email. And oh, by the way, here's the email. Now, we're a team of marketing experts. Think of us as a marketing agency. Most agents can't afford a marketing agency, Michael. They cost thousands of dollars per month, sometimes much more than that. So we have democratized that and made that really affordable. Our starting price is $99 a month. And we give everyone a 7-day free trial just to start the program and try it for free so they can experience that. And so that's been a great opportunity for us. I know we're going to be wrapping here soon, but I would say the thing that I always try to do is Listing Leads is a marketing system designed to help you get appointments. That's all we do. We live it. We breathe it. We obsess over it. We write, we design, we create, we test, and it's reflected in the quality of our work and, most importantly, the results our clients get. So I just want to, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. This is something that we continue to be excited about. The potential behind this business and what we've been able to accomplish in a short time has been very, very, very gratifying.
Oh, well, thank you for that and great information, Jimmy. And if you were to say on a text, because there's, we're a lot of our listeners, right? A lot of agents like hiding behind text. What is one big mistake you're seeing agents do with text, whether it be texting up with the lead? Let's start with the lead or some inquiry, as well as maybe a tip that you have when following up with a lead or a past client.
Well, there's words I want to ban from our texting scripts, which is, hey, Michael, I'm just checking in. Or, hey, Michael, I'm just following up. Think about the first thing you say to a prospect as maybe the only thing you could say to get them to read the next sentence. So again, talking about this idea of our defense mechanisms, if we just use language that looks and sounds like a sales script, it's going to turn people off. The best sales scripts don't sound like sales scripts. And so the second lesson I have for everyone who's listening is there's a phrase that we use. This is I had a chance to train with Eli Wild, who was one of Tony Robbins' coaches who helped with selling their product. And he said this great line. He goes, if you're trying to convince or persuade or motivate someone to do anything, you have to destroy the objection in their mind. And that always stuck with me as a way to communicate to prospects. And I'll give you a great example of this. If I were to make a list of all the reasons why my clients aren't selling, I think I probably can put in the category, it's probably just the wrong time. That could be, listen, I haven't found a new home to move into. I'm waiting until the school year starts. I'm concerned about, the economy. It's just a bad time. And so we wrote the script that my friend Timmy Montgomery sent out. She sent out to 100 people. She got 3 listing appointments, took all 3 customers, sold all 3 houses. Tim Montgomery is an extraordinarily motivated RE/MAX agent down there in Bossier City, Louisiana, affectionately known as Mama T. She is an extraordinary broker owner, an extraordinary agent, an extraordinary human being. And she represents everything I love about this industry. So she sent out the message. Here was the text. It says, hey, Michael, I know it's probably the wrong time, but I've been talking to a lot of buyers who are serious about making a move in the next 90 days. I'd be terrible at my job if I didn't ask, would you be open to the idea of selling if you got a great offer? And so that script, right? Every single part of it builds on top of it. Hey, I know it's probably the wrong time. We call it the bad timing text. And Michael, your response is like, yeah, it's kind of the bad time. I just said something that was true that you and I both agreed upon. That is the objection you have. Now we can move past it. If you don't address the objection, you can't move past it to the next step, is the point. So I just addressed the objection, Eli Wildstyle, destroyed the objection in the mind of the consumer. Now I'm using some psychology, which is a little bit of pattern interrupt. They're on the news every day. They see the articles that the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, right, Financial Times are writing. The real estate market is on a depression. Foreclosures are on the rise. It's never been a worse time to buy a home. Affordability is at an all-time low. They're constantly being bombarded with all this negativity. And
Right.
yes, there's some validity to that, but you know what? There's also the other side of the coin, which is inventory is rising. Well, what does that mean? It means buyers now have more choices and they can actually negotiate a deal and get an inspection, right? And get some seller concessions. Like, no one's saying that because it's not that sexy of a headline.
Right.
So the idea of like, hey, I've been talking to a lot of buyers who are serious about making a move in the next 90 days. Then you go, I didn't think anyone was buying. Well, it turns out we're going to sell 4.2 million houses this year in the US, just like we did last year. And kind of like we've done historically prior to the, 06 to 05 to 07 run up and the 2020 to 2022 run up, like around 4.5 million, maybe 5 million transactions. We're still selling a lot of houses in the US. So like by introducing that, I'm like, yeah, people are still buying. And then I use a line that my buddy Jimmy Burgess uses. And everyone should use this line at least once a week, which is, hey, Michael, I'd be a terrible realtor if I didn't ask. And it's a playful way for you to ask the question, do you want to sell your house? And then going back to hypotheticals, right? Hey, I'd be a terrible realtor if I didn't ask. Would you consider selling your house if you got a great offer? And so that, to end the show, Michael, like that is a script that I would use right now that is working, that you could send to 50, 100 people to book 3 to 5 appointments and get 2 or 3 listings this week. Right? This week, in the middle of July, in the dog day of summer, in the middle of a heat wave here in Chicago and Boston, this is something you can do literally right now to get some customers. So hopefully that is giving your audience kind of what they're looking for here.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great way to get potential sellers to raise their hand that, yeah, if I had the right offer, I'd consider. Great point. Any words of recommendation from a buy side? You got a stale buyer, you've been sending them properties. They've kind of gone silent on you. Any killer text, any killer to revitalize that relationship or revitalize their interest?
Yeah, well, a couple things. I think one of my favorite Chris Voss lines he covered in his book, Never Split the Difference, is a great line. If you got a cold prospect and you really want to, like, let's say you got nothing to lose. Michael, I followed you to 7 times. You haven't responded to anything. I've emailed you listings. I've got no response. You're not doing it. Michael, have you given up on trying to buy a house this year? That's it. Stop. Send it. You got nothing. And you will be shocked with the responses you get from that message.
Wow.
Now I wouldn't use that for my SOI. I wouldn't use that for my hot clients, but it is an emotionally charged question. Hey, Michael, have you given up on trying to buy a house this year? Because you know what people don't like to do is they don't like to publicly admit they've given up on anything. Right?
Wow.
Like we will do things way beyond the point of like logic just to appear that we have not given up on that thing. Right? Wow. So that was something I would use for cold prospects on buy side. On the other buy side, I might use a circle prospecting script, which plays 2 parts. So, hey, Michael, I'm going to be like, Michael, what's a really hot area and a really hot price point in the market you serve today?
Well, Hinsdale, Illinois is a big town, North Shore, but go Hinsdale.
Okay. So Hinsdale, and what's a price point that is like tends to move faster than the rest of the market?
1 to 1.5 there.
Okay. So let's say there's a specific neighborhood in Hinsdale that like kind of everyone wants to be near or around. I might call my buyers and say, hey, Michael, I know that you're not expecting me, but I wanted to give you a quick heads up. I'm going to be calling 175 off-market listings in Hinsdale between about 1 million and 1.5 million today to try to source some off-market deals for my buyers. If I come across anything that's interesting, would you like me to let you know? And so I'm talking to my buyers in advance. I'm texting, I'm calling, I'm giving a heads up. Yeah, absolutely. And then I can ask qualifying questions. What's changed since the last time we talked, right? Maybe like, hey, what's your timeline? You need help getting pre-approved with the new rates, blah, blah, blah. And just like move that conversation further down the funnel. Now I'm getting a list from my title rep of all the homes in that price point in that neighborhood. And if you're the seller, hey, Michael, I know you're not expecting me. This is Jimmy calling with ABC Realty. I just got off the phone with one of my buyers who's like loves your area, and I promised them that I would do everything in my power to find them a deal. I know this is a crazy question, but would you consider selling your house if you got a great offer? Like, would you be open to the idea of selling your house if you got a great offer? And so I'm using my buyer conversations to have seller conversations. I'm using my seller conversations to feed my buyers.
Yeah.
This is the type of thing you got to do in this market if you want to sustain and grow and thrive. So hopefully that's helpful for your audience, but that's a tactic I would use.
Yeah, it was very helpful. Thank you. And we've had some audience members chime in. My friend Ed Eakin. Ed, thank you. Ed, people in the industry know Ed. And then my good friend, formerly Peter, down in Australia. Peter, thank you for the comments. Great to hear from you, Peter, as well. So, Jimmy, some really good information. Again, we got Jimmy here, Jimmy Mackin from listingleads.com, listingleads.com. Best way for people to follow you, right? Instagram?
100%. I'm on a mission to become the most useful person to follow on social media. So you can follow me at Jimmy Mackin on Instagram. Stay connected. I post scripts. I post strategies. I post videos there. I post carousels. And my last advice for everyone here, Michael, as we wrap, is just this is a market where you can win big if you've got the right strategy and the right plan and the right conviction. And this is a market where it punishes agents who are indecisive, and it punishes agents who are dabbling. So get out there, take some advantage of some of these ideas, put them to good use, and start building some momentum going into the fall market.
Awesome. Hey, Jimmy, some golden nuggets here today. I appreciate your time, appreciate your insight, and appreciate what you're doing for the industry.
Thank you, Michael. Great seeing you, my friend.
All right, great seeing you. Take care. All right, guys, some great stuff there. Jimmy is crushing it. Like I said, I was so happy to see him and revisit with him at the Tom Ferry event. Some great information. His name's still on the screen. Jimmy Mackin, listingleads.com. Thank you, Jimmy. Just a couple reminders before we let you go. Number one, if you don't have a copy yet of the best-selling book, Secrets of Top Luxury Agents, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's 300 pages of pure gold. If you want to increase your average sale price, if you want to work smarter, not harder, there are 212 tips for home sellers in this book, and there's 118 tips for home buyers in this book as well. At the end of each chapter, we have 26 contributors. They give tips for buyers and tips for sellers, and some great nuggets. And the foreword was written by undercover billionaire Glenn Stern. So make sure you check that out. Secret to Top Luxury Agents. And if you want some swag, you want some gear, you can go to luxuryspecialistgear.com. Some great t-shirts. Ask me about real estate. I wear this one to the gym. I wore this one to one of my kids' ball games, and my wife gave me grief about it. I'd rather be selling your house. This is a good one, and tons of others. You go on the left side, there's bundles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats. You can even get some merch, our books, our objection handling playing cards, or our luxury agent planner. Again, go to luxuryspecialistgear.com, luxuryspecialistgear.com, and make sure you get your Lux Lion shirt too. Lions lead, they do not follow. So with that being said, Michael LaFido, until next time you guys are listening to another episode of Luxury Specialist Podcast, thank you, everybody. Take care.